Have you ever looked at a handmade piece of furniture, maybe something you built in your own garage, and wondered why people are paying $800, $1,500, even $4,000 for something that, realistically, you could make for a fraction of that cost? But somehow, your version isn't selling at all. That question sits in the back of a lot of people's minds, especially here in the US, where side hustles have become almost a necessity. And the frustrating part is this. It's not that your work isn't good enough. It's that the way you're trying to sell it is invisible to the market. Because selling handmade furniture online is not just about craftsmanship. It's about positioning, perception, and understanding how buyers actually behave when they scroll. And most first-time sellers don't fail because their furniture is bad. They fail because they make a series of small, avoidable mistakes before a single potential customer even sees their product. Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to walk step by step through how you go from building something in your workshop to making your first $1,000 online. And by the end of this, you're going to see exactly where most people go wrong and how to avoid becoming one of them. Let's start with the first mistake, because this one quietly destroys more sales than anything else: choosing the wrong platform. Most beginners think, I'll just post this everywhere: Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, maybe even build a website. That sounds logical. But in reality, it spreads your energy too thin and puts your product in front of the wrong audience. Each platform has a completely different buyer mindset, and if you don't understand that, you're basically speaking the wrong language to the wrong crowd. Take Etsy, for example. People on Etsy are not just shopping for furniture, they're shopping for a story. They expect handmade, unique, slightly premium pieces. They're willing to pay more, but only if your product looks like it belongs in a curated designer environment. Now compare that to Facebook Marketplace. That's a completely different game. Buyers there are local, price-sensitive, and often looking for deals. They're thinking convenience, speed, and negotiation. If you list a high-end minimalist console table there with premium pricing and no context, most people will scroll right past it. Not because it's bad, but because it's in the wrong room. And then there's your own website. This is where a lot of beginners get stuck. They think having a website makes them look more professional. But here's the truth. A website with no traffic is like a showroom in the middle of a desert. It looks nice, but nobody's walking in. So in the beginning, your goal is not independence. It's visibility. You go where the buyers already are. That's how you shortcut the hardest part of this entire process. Now here's the strategy most successful sellers use, but rarely explain clearly. They start with one primary platform based on their product type. If they're making smaller, design-focused pieces like side tables, shelves, or decor, they lean into Etsy. If they're building larger furniture like desks, dining tables, or consoles, they often start with Facebook Marketplace to avoid shipping complexity and build quick local sales. And only after they validate demand do they expand to their own website. That sequence matters more than people realize, because it determines how quickly you get your first sale, and your first sale is everything. Because once you get that first sale, something changes. You're no longer guessing. You're validating. You now have proof that someone, somewhere, is willing to exchange money for what you make. And that momentum is what carries you to the first $1,000. But here's where most people hit the second wall. Even if they choose the right platform, their listings don't convert. And this is where we need to talk about something that feels simple, but is actually one of the most powerful drivers of sales. Your product photos. When people shop online, they're not touching your furniture. They're not feeling the wood grain, the weight, the craftsmanship. The only thing they have to judge your work is what they see on their screen. And if your photos don't immediately communicate quality, scale, and style, the sale is already lost before they read a single word. This is why you'll see two pieces of furniture that are almost identical in build quality, but one sells for $900 and the other struggles at $150. The difference isn't the wood. It's the presentation. High-performing sellers don't just take pictures, they stage scenes. They place their furniture in environments that tell a story. Clean backgrounds, natural lighting, minimal distractions. They make the buyer imagine that piece already sitting in their home. And here's something most beginners overlook. Lighting matters more than the camera. You don't need expensive equipment. A modern smartphone is more than enough. But what you do need is soft, natural light. Near a window. during the day, with shadows that add depth, but don't overpower the piece. Harsh lighting, cluttered backgrounds, or dark images instantly lower perceived value. It's subtle, but it's powerful. Angles matter too. One straight-on shot is not enough. You want multiple perspectives. Front, side, detail shots of joints or finishes, and one lifestyle image that shows scale. Because buyers are constantly asking themselves silent questions. How big is this? Will it fit my space? Does it feel premium? Your photos should answer all of those questions without the buyer having to think too hard. Now, once your photos pull people in, the next step is keeping them there. And this is where your title and description come in. This is not just about describing the product. It's about getting found in the first place. Because on platforms like Etsy, if your listing doesn't match what people are searching for, it might as well not exist. Most beginners write titles like handmade wooden table. That's too vague. It doesn't match how people actually search. Buyers are typing very specific phrases. Solid wood console table, modern minimalist entryway table, oak hallway table. Your title needs to reflect that behavior. It needs to include the keywords your buyer is already using. And your description, that's where you remove doubt. You're answering questions before they're even asked. Dimensions, materials, finish type, use case, care instructions. But more importantly, you're reinforcing value. You're helping the buyer justify the purchase emotionally and logically at the same time. Because at the end of the day, people don't just buy furniture. They buy how that furniture makes them feel about their space. They buy the idea of a cleaner, more organized, more intentional home. And if your listing communicates that clearly, you're no longer competing on price alone. Now here's where things get interesting. Because once you've nailed your platform, your photos, and your listing, you've done something most people never do. You've built a product that is not just visible but desirable. And in the next part, we're going to take that a step further. We're going to break down pricing, how to avoid undercharging, how to position your product against mass-produced alternatives, and how to handle the operational side that most people ignore until it's too late. Because making the sale is only half the game. Keeping your margins, managing buyers, and building momentum, that's what actually gets you to your first $1,000 and beyond. Now let's talk about the part that makes most people uncomfortable, but quietly determines whether you ever reach that first $1,000 or stay stuck spinning your wheels. Pricing. Because what most beginners do is look at their material cost, maybe add a little extra, and then undercut everyone else just to get a sale. It feels safe. It feels logical. But it's one of the fastest ways to trap yourself in a cycle where you're working harder and earning less. Here's the reality. When you price too low, you don't just make less money, you actually reduce perceived value. Buyers don't think, wow, what a deal. They think, what's wrong with it? Especially in the handmade space, price signals quality. And if your pricing doesn't match the level of craftsmanship you're trying to communicate, you create doubt before the buyer even clicks. So instead of asking, what should I charge to get a sale? You need to start asking, what position am I trying to occupy? Are you the cheapest option, competing with mass-produced furniture? Or are you offering something that feels custom, intentional, and elevated? Because those are two completely different strategies, and mixing them is where most people fail. A simple way to think about pricing is this. Your price should reflect three things: your cost, your time, and your positioning. Materials are obvious, but your time is where people go wrong. If a piece takes you 8 hours to build, and you're only adding $50 on top of material cost, you're essentially paying yourself pennies. That's not a business, that's a burnout strategy. Then comes positioning. Look at similar items on your platform, not just the cheapest ones, but the ones that actually look like yours in quality and style. Where do they sit? That range is your starting point, not your ceiling. And here's a small but powerful shift. Instead of lowering your price to compete, increase your perceived value. Better photos, clearer descriptions, stronger presentation. Because when buyers feel confident in what they're getting, price becomes less of a barrier. Now, once your pricing is aligned, you're ready for something that most people underestimate: handling inquiries. This is where interest turns into actual money. And it's also where a lot of sales quietly die. When someone messages you, that's not just a casual question. That's intent. And how you respond in that moment matters more than people realize. Slow replies, vague answers, or overly casual communication can make buyers lose confidence quickly. Remember, they're not just buying a product. They're trusting you as the seller. The best sellers treat every inquiry like a mini sales conversation. They respond quickly, they're clear, and they remove friction. If someone asks, "Is this still available?" don't just say yes. Add value. Confirm availability, restate a key benefit, and guide them to the next step. Make it easy for them to say yes. Because hesitation kills momentum. And your job is to reduce hesitation as much as possible. Now let's address the part that scares most people away from selling furniture online. Shipping. Large items feel complicated, expensive, and risky. And because of that, many beginners avoid selling altogether. But here's the truth. There are ways to work around this without overcomplicating your process. In the beginning, local sales are your easiest path. Platforms like Facebook Marketplace allow you to test demand without dealing with packaging, freight, or damage risk. You build confidence, generate cash flow, and learn what actually sells. Once you're ready to expand, you can start offering shipping selectively. For smaller pieces, standard carriers work fine. For larger furniture, many sellers use blanket wrap delivery services or freight options, where the item is transported securely without traditional boxing. Yes, it costs more, but that cost is built into your pricing. And buyers who are already willing to pay for handmade furniture are often willing to pay for proper delivery as well. The key is transparency. Clear shipping policies, realistic timelines, and honest communication. Because unmet expectations are what lead to negative reviews, and reviews are the next critical piece of this entire process. Your first 10 reviews are more important than your first 10 sales. That might sound counterintuitive, but here's why. Reviews are social proof. They tell future buyers, this person is trustworthy. This product is worth it. Without them, every new buyer feels like they're taking a risk. So in the beginning, your goal is not just to sell, it's to create great buying experiences. Over-communicate. Deliver on time. Package carefully. Follow up politely after the sale. Some sellers even include a small thank you note, or a simple extra touch that makes the experience feel personal. These small details turn buyers into advocates. And once those reviews start stacking up, something shifts again. Your listings gain traction. Your conversion rate improves. And sales start coming in with less effort. Now, let's zoom out for a second and look at what successful furniture sellers are actually doing differently. Because if you study them closely, you'll notice patterns. Their photos are clean and consistent. Their pricing aligns with their positioning. Their descriptions are clear and confident. And most importantly, they don't try to do everything at once. They focus on what works, refine it, and scale from there. They're not guessing. They're iterating. And that's the mindset shift that takes you from hobbyist to seller. You're not just making furniture anymore. You're building a system, a repeatable process that takes you from idea to product, to listing, to sale. So if you've been sitting on pieces that nobody outside your immediate circle has seen, understand this. The gap between where you are and your first $1,000 is not talent. It's execution. It's choosing the right platform, presenting your work in a way that communicates value, pricing with intention, and handling the business side with the same care you put into your craft. And here's the opportunity most people miss. You don't need dozens of products to start. You need one good piece, presented the right way, in front of the right audience. That's it. That's how momentum begins. So here's what I want you to do next. Take one piece, your best one. Photograph it properly. Write a title that matches how people actually search. Choose one platform that aligns with your product. And list it. Not next week. Not when everything feels perfect. Now. Because action beats perfection every single time. And if you want more breakdowns like this real, practical strategies that actually help you turn skills into income, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is where we don't just talk about making things. We talk about making money from what you make. Your first $1,000 is not as far away as it feels. It's just on the other side of doing the right things. In the right order.